I'm Whitney Webb. Bitcoin, just like gold, you can't eat it. Will we sleepwalk into a world of CBDCs where intelligence agencies, central banks, and commercial banks have fused into the same Orwellian entity? Even though it sounds kind of dire, it's just important for people to be aware of what the stakes are and what these people are planning. Otherwise, you might be caught unprepared. Or holding terror-linked Bitcoin or using encryption or mixers makes you a cyber criminal. How to fix really all of this stuff is like, are we going to go into the new system that's being built for us, or will we make our own system? And they're obviously going to be fundamentally different. Or will we fight the groups and institutions that have looted American wealth for well over a century and demand a return to the Constitution and the right to privacy, not just financially, but in all senses? We have the power to change it.
Whitney Webb, a journalist and researcher who exposes the hidden agendas of the powerful elites. In this video, she will reveal a plan to end online privacy and anonymity, and how it is orchestrated by a global public-private partnership that includes think tanks, corporations, billionaires, and the World Economic Forum. She will answer some of the urgent questions that many people have, such as, what is the driver's license for the internet, and how will it link your online activity to your government-issued ID? How will this enable unprecedented surveillance and censorship of everything you do, read, and buy online? How is this connected to the elimination of financial privacy and the criminalization of encryption and mixing services? How will this agenda be pushed through by exploiting a crisis, similar to how the Patriot Act was passed after 9/11? How is this part of a broader effort to regulate the internet and impose a central bank digital currency, which will have far-reaching implications for the economy and society? Let's hear the answers to these questions from Whitney Webb.
The end of online privacy and anonymity. And they want to do this by having people link a government-issued ID to their internet access and internet activity. A lot of government policy, whether it's about this or something else, doesn't come organically from the government. It comes from think tanks. It comes from, groups like that, or even the West, the World Economic Forum, that are then given to politicians, and politicians legislate and enact it, and then the state enforces it. But it's not necessarily the ideas of the legislature and the state itself, these policies. And more often than not, these think tanks are funded by corporations and billionaires and all of these guys. And they also own the politicians, so it's really them creating the policy. And they use the state as an enforcer to force it on the public, right? So that's, I guess, the global public-private partnership is what my colleague Ian Davis calls they, right? And I think it's pretty fair. He puts the BIS at the top, by the way, of the pyramid. But this policy, one of the earliest iterations of it, at least in the United States, was during the Obama administration. They called it a driver's license for the internet. The idea of, in order to access the internet, when you set up, internet connection at your house, the internet service provider links all of your internet traffic to your ID. And in doing so, the government and the signals intelligence arm or intelligence agency of the government then has access to not just everything you're posting and writing online, but also everything you read and consume online.
And everything you buy.
And everything you buy. Totally. I mean, this whole push is completely related to ending financial anonymity and financial privacy as well. It's a completely interrelated thing. And I've done pretty extensive deep dives on this going back to probably like 2021, because it's very tied up with how they're likely to force this regulated internet on the populace, because they're not just going to be like, let's do this now. I mean, people aren't going to go along with it. So they need some sort of event that gets people angry and afraid and panicking in order to stick it through. So basically, this is going to be folded into, I guess, what I would call a Cyber Patriot Act. The Patriot Act being the legislation pushed through in the U.S. after September 11th, 2001, right? A lot of which wasn't necessarily related to anything to do with 9/11, but was a huge power grab by the state taking advantage opportunistically of the panic after 9/11. So they need some sort of event like that to ram all this stuff through. There's an obvious push to censor more speech and link people's speech to their ID and have it more surveillable than ever before. Gutting encryption, why do they want to do that? So they can read everything that you say and all your transactions, follow them all. There's a similar effort in crypto and specifically with Bitcoin to criminalize mixers and criminalize any sort of service that affords you increased financial privacy. Where they want to take this, if anyone uses a mixer, they can go after you. That's what they want to set up. They don't want anyone to have financial privacy or online privacy anymore. And that's what part of this agenda about a regulated internet is. And it directly ties in with stuff like a central bank digital currency, at least what people are concerned about a CBDC for, which is the surveillance capability and the programmability aspect. It's all tied up with this effort to regulate the internet, which isn't really fair to say it's regulating the internet. It's more like taking complete control of the internet, a complete coup of the internet for unprecedented surveillance and control of people's online lives. At the same time that you have these same entities pushing for people to live their lives online as much as possible, as part of the fourth industrial revolution and all of this other stuff. Like we saw in the COVID era, oh, we're locking down, you can't go out and do stuff in the physical world, you have to be online as much as possible. Education's online, work is online, as much of your life as possible has to be online now because you can't go in person to the bank, you can't go in person to this, you should order your groceries through your phone and all of this stuff, So they're pushing us more and more into the digital realm and at the same time preparing to take more control of the digital realm than they have now by a significant degree. And that's not a coincidence. I'm sorry if you think that's coincidental. That's very naive of you.
Whitney Webb exposes the agenda of ending online privacy and anonymity, and how it is driven by powerful interests that use the state as their enforcer. She traces the origin of this agenda to the Obama administration's proposal of a driver's license for the internet, which would link every user's online activity to their government-issued ID. Silicon Valley battles states over new online safety laws for children. Lawsuits filed by NetChoice, which represents companies including TikTok and Meta, have stalled protection efforts in 3 states. Whitney explains how this would enable unprecedented surveillance and censorship of everything people do, read, and buy online. She also shows how this agenda is connected to the elimination of financial privacy and the criminalization of services that offer encryption or mixing. Some of the key trends that will shape the data privacy landscape in 2024, such as the enforcement of privacy regulations, the focus on children's privacy, the rise of privacy tech, the demand for data portability, and the challenge of balancing privacy and security. She warns that this agenda will be pushed through by exploiting a crisis, similar to how the Patriot Act was passed after 9/11 events. She concludes by saying that this agenda is part of a broader effort to regulate the internet and impose a central bank digital currency, which would have far-reaching implications for the economy and society. A range of perspectives and insights on online privacy issues, such as ABC's decision to force viewers to create accounts. And do not forget to subscribe to Bitcoin Seller. The most important news will reach your inbox on a daily basis and for free. I do not know why you have not subscribed yet. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more daily updates. Remember, knowledge is power, and we're here to empower you on your financial journey. Until next time, happy investing.